Hi, my name is Trainin.
And I'm Kimberly Ingraham-Beck.
And this is CS4NE. And today we have a special treat because we have an interview with Lucas Hartman, who created as I understand, a special curriculum that was sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Education, also known as NDE. Yeah. And they really sponsored, in the last few years, a few versions of curriculum that will fully align with the standards. That being said, there are other options. So code.org has an option that is curriculum aligned, and also Code.HS. I'm trying to forget, but yes, Code.HS has one as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a school district and you're not sure what to use, you have a few options, and the NDE option is completely free. Code.HS has components that are free. Code.org is free, at least the curriculum, professional development, we can see what we can do. But all of these things are kind of intertwined. It is really interesting to hear about what he's created.
Yes. All right, well, let's listen. Hi, Lucas. Thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what your experience with computer science education is?
Yeah, so my name is Lucas Hartman. I'm a IT instructor, info instructor at Metropolitan Community College here based in Omaha. And I've been here at the college for 3 years now. Before that, I worked with Omaha Public Schools, and I was a technology computer programming teacher there for about 8 years. Teaching a wide variety of AP Computer Science principles and Computer Science A, other web programming classes, game design classes, all sorts of things in the high school arena. And now I just kind of focus with like programming classes at Metro, different languages and such.
And you're also the dual course or dual enrolled course?
Yes. So anytime we get teachers that want to dual enroll our courses with Metro, there's a whole department at Metro, but they kind of talk with them first, and then they send them my way, and I get them kind of up to speed using our learning management system and showing the curriculum and getting them ready to go for teaching that class at their high school.
Awesome. So you developed a course for the Nebraska Department of Education. Can you walk us through that course that you developed?
Yeah. And so I kind of put together a course, both on our side to allow for teachers in our local 4-county area to dual enroll the course with Metro, as well as giving it to NDE to kind of teach it, basically. Basically, it's laid out where there are 6 modules, and each of those modules cover curriculum standards that were developed by the Nebraska Department of Ed, coming from the legislative bill that requires computer science or high school students to cover those set standards as they go throughout their high school career, and they have to graduate with them. So the course is laid out in those modules, and within each modules, there are certain weeks. Most modules are about 2 weeks long. Inside the Canvas course as well, if you get the NDE copy of it, there's also a public commons that doesn't have all the like helpful teacher resources. It doesn't have like our curriculum map, some answer documents for the assignments to help out. But you'll see a lot of these, some things not published or don't publish, but basically we go through each module. The first module is all about computer literacy. We have kind of weekly activities. You learn about the history of computing. I throw in weekly discussion board posts about technology, so students stay up to date on technology. Every couple weeks, hey, see what's new coming out. I get like a weekly email or a daily email, seeing different kind of news stories that pop up and things like that. So just kind of having students stay on top of technology and the changes. But they learn about history of computing and new emerging technology, learn about how to utilize Google and do a better Google search. There's also part of it where you want to look at IT in careers. So even though students might not be going into IT, if they're going to be going into construction, if they're going to be going into farming or hospitals, they can learn about what IT is in that their chosen career field, so that they still need to, IT is everywhere. They still need to kind of know about it. And then the next module goes into digital citizenship, where they talk about, being how to consume media and how to post about yourself, and how you might get a curated view, and you might see a lot of political views on one side or the other, or you might and not see the other side. And so how you can kind of look at both sides doing that. That is daily lessons here, with, activities to do each day, just talking about those different concepts on digital citizenship. We talk about learning about the basic hardware that goes behind a computer and how the internet works. There's a fun little activity where their Uncle Sal needs a computer, so they have to help him buy a computer based on a scenario that is given. They also talk about data in that information technology part, and how data is all around us. So just how you can kind of consume data, manage the data. It gives a little bit intro lesson with like using Excel to use spreadsheets and organize that data. A little bit about cybersecurity and how there are set out policies in the business area. And then they get to and then also what is a strong password? Those are kind of the big topics for cybersecurity. For that, along with learning a little bit about how we kind of protect our data. And it's really hard to look at the current encryption methods on how computers encrypt data, but we look back at some old type of encryption methods like symbol ciphers, Caesar ciphers, and then there's the Vigenère cipher. And then they get to kind of create their own. And so seeing how hard it is to crack with all these data leaks that's happened in the past, that's kind of like a big point that they can think about with how cybersecurity works. And then the last two modules kind of go together. So computational thinking is how to kind of logically solve a problem. So it kind of brings in that sciencey math stuff. There's things where we kind of walk through how we would write out how to do something, kind of like recipe. How do you bake a cake? How do you make something? So there's several activities to do that, talking about sorting numbers by using cards, all kind of hands-on stuff. For that, as well as kind of the final assignment broken up into those is things like making me a sandwich. So high schoolers like food, so that's always a great activity to do to kind of keep them enthralled, kind of in that. So, and then the second part of that is now we kind of know how to solve problems and things. The last part is how do computers help represent our data? And so we learn a little bit about binary numbers, then how binary numbers can be used for ASCII text, hexadecimal numbers, and then lastly, how kind of our screens represent colors. And that incorporates code.org's their pixelation widget, where they can use binary numbers or hexadecimal numbers to kind of represent those red, green, blue colors and kind of make that connection there for how that works in the background. And then that helps leading into the programming module. This one is probably the longest one just because there's so much with programming. It's really, really hard to teach it all at once. I mean, we have 10, 11 week courses at college, and covering most of these materials in just a 11-week course. And in here, we're doing it in about 4 to 5 weeks. So we start off with input and output and how we store data with variables. We then get into if statements or conditionals, where we check certain values and then do certain things depending on what input is. Then we do loops, where we can repeat code over and over. And then lastly, kind of go into functions. I do have a module 6 in there with lists as like an extra thing. I kind of list that out as it's, I think I put it in the teacher materials. It's more of an optional. If you run out of time, it's great to like kind of cut that last week and then catch up, especially being new teachers. What's nice with the programming is that and really all of this, there's a learning page in each, there's videos, there's PowerPoint slides, and in the PowerPoint slides might be a link to videos. There's also in the programming module, because that's usually the hardest for newer teachers doing programming or teachers that have to be jumping into this. There's the learning videos in there. I give you the answers to each of the activities and the assignments so the teachers can kind of see what they are. The activities are kind of what we call a paired programming activity, where students kind of get into groups and they kind of rotate and they practice, doing the coding, and they each get to kind of get that experience doing it so that better helps them with the assignment. And then at the end of it all, if you need, this is a kind of a 16-week course laid out to where we go to about week 15, 14, and then give at least a week or so to, if you need kind of a final project for your semester. There's a portfolio project where they basically pick something like Google Sites. There's a built-in folio that's built into Canva, Squarespace, Wix has all these ways to kind of build a website, and they kind of just take what they've learned in all the modules and they have some reflection questions, take pictures and screenshots of the things they've made, the computer artifacts, and then just kind of have a nice display for it all. But in a nutshell, that's kind of the course.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So while you were making it, what kind of considerations did you keep in mind so that the course would be accessible for students regardless of their prior coding experience or computer science experience?
Yeah, so I kind of drew on a lot of this from kind of my past experience at the high school. So we've taught super intro level IT, here's your hour of code stuff. But of course, you have to add more to it, here being like a full semester. So what I did was I just kind of thought what things to keep students interested, because, just doing a lot of worksheets or just doing go on to code.org and kind of complete this on your own type of thing. Slowly they're interested, maybe the first couple, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then slowly it kind of falls off unless you really push them and kind of add your own stuff. So I kind of tried to make it more hands-on so that they can keep it interested, and that, we're only doing something for a couple days, right? Or we're doing something one day, the next day we're continuing that, but it's another task or assignment or activity. And then, okay, here's your final project or the final project for that module, if you are the final assignment, the summative assignment, would last a couple days. I also made it so that a lot of the assignments, and it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. I don't know if it translates well, but a lot of them, like for some of them, like the Uncle Sal, giving him a computer, like that's built to like, you can have it in a group project. So helping out those students so that like, they're not the sole one coming up with the ideas, that they're working in a group to do this thing. That's also why some of the assignments where it's like, make a presentation in a day and a half, and then in a half a day or a whole day, now everyone has to present, right? It's hard to do that, but if you're in a group, everyone can kind of tackle that situation. So I kind of took that into consideration of trying to keep it fun, trying to keep it hands-on. And the nice thing is there's so many different topics in here that nothing necessarily gets kind of old for them, hopefully.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit already, but how did your experience as a high school teacher influence the way you structured this course?
Yeah. So my big experience was like, if you let the students off on their own, doing their own thing, they kind of just start getting off topic, off task. And so, yeah, having them be hands-on, having them physically have to do stuff. So like when we get down to like talking about binary numbers or sorting, it's like it's physical, have to do with your hand. It's makes more sense because it's in front of them.
How flexible do you think this course is for teachers with varying levels of experience in CS?
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea of this is that when I created this is that I wanted to just give you, here's activities, right? And if you are an experienced teacher and you know what you're doing, maybe you have a different activity compared to the one I put in there, you can easily swap out, do what you want to do. Now, for teachers that don't really have a lot of experience, I mean, this is great to just kind of go with it top to bottom. I mean, each each week we have a kind of teacher's notes that kind of draws out here, day 1, do this, day 2, do this, day 3, do this, right? And just kind of help you really plan that out if you are someone that isn't as experienced. And one of the things I also say is half the time with teaching is you aren't necessarily going to be the master of everything and know it all and be the know-all, but sometimes you're there to just facilitate the learning. So sometimes you might be your first year going through this even, it might be that you are kind of learning along with the students, but you have the training of being a teacher so that you can kind of ask those questions to the students, get them thinking more and figuring it out maybe with them as needed, depending on, again, your level of expertise.
Well, thank you so much, Lucas. I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right. That was fascinating. What are the key takeaways for you?
I guess I just really like how knowing a little bit about Code.org's curriculum and Code.hs's curriculum, they're all very different. Even though they cover the same standards, they each have different aspects that they focus on. And so with this one, I really liked his more hands-on activities that he included. I thought those are pretty fun. I really like the different encryptions activities.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are some of my favorites.
And for me, it's just his very methodical approach where he really walked us through everything that there is in there. Now, that said, he has actually made a full 1-hour video that walks you through everything in great detail. So if you are going to teach with this, and you don't have an opportunity to go to professional development of any kind, professional learning with him or with somebody who can walk you through the curriculum, a full hour is still, I think, a worthwhile investment. So we will have the link below so you can find that video. And if that's a curriculum you want to choose, this is a great opportunity.
Absolutely. It was also kind of interesting that he chose to go with Think Python, which is a free Python book and has some activities that people can go through as well.
Yeah, and that's something I love, actually. I love open access curriculum that is available to everybody, that you don't have to pay for, and it also means you can adjust it. And there are so many creators that are making great things, podcasts.
Hey.
I don't know. But other resources that you can use, and you don't always have to go for something that is going to tax our resources even further.
Definitely. All right.
We'll see you next time on CS4NE.